Today I'm meeting with Irene Hsiao, who is the Chinese teacher at ASU Prep Phoenix. And Ms. Hsiao, you took sort of a non-traditional route to becoming a teacher. Could you talk about how you came to teach Chinese at ASU Prep?
Sure. Honestly, growing up, I never thought I would ever actually teach Chinese at all. But it's kind of a long story, but I started my career off after college as a newspaper reporter. I had gone to school for journalism at the U of A. Did that for about 3 years. Basically had a career change and went to grad school at Arizona State for public administration. While I was there, I had the opportunity to study Chinese through the federal government. The program is called the Chinese Language Flagship Program. At that time, there was a program at the Ohio State University, so I ended up going there for 2 years. The first year I was in Ohio, the second year I spent in China. I did a thesis in Chinese, and I also lived in China as part of the program and did an internship and really interacted with the people there and really tried to study the culture itself.
To your knowledge, are there many high schools in Arizona that teach Chinese?
I would say increasingly, yes. There are more and more high schools in Arizona that are offering Chinese. Certainly when I was growing up, Chinese did not exist as a language or a foreign language at the high school level, but in the past, I would say 3 or 4 years, partially because of the program that I used to work for, the ASU Chinese Language Flagship Program, which trains college students to become proficient in Chinese. Because of that program and its existence, a lot of high schools and middle schools and elementary schools have started to offer Chinese.
Great. And based on your experience and having lived in China for a little bit, what are your thoughts or your opinions on the importance of learning Chinese as opposed to maybe other languages?
Certainly, China is becoming an economic powerhouse, so I think a lot of people are very interested in learning the language. I think it's not just the language, but it's the culture as well. When we learn Chinese, it's not just about communicating, but also communicating in a culturally appropriate way.
Great. And you're not only teaching at ASU Prep Phoenix, you're teaching at the Poly campus as
Right.
well. How has that been in terms of teaching at both schools?
Certainly it's been a bit of a challenge, but I think it's wonderful that I have the opportunity to teach Chinese in 2 different places in Phoenix, and in some ways, very different places. We're talking downtown Phoenix and East Mesa, 2 very different populations, but I think it's an honor to be able to expose these students to both Chinese, the language, and the culture.
And I know when we first offered Chinese this year, we weren't quite sure what the reaction was going to be in terms of demand, and it's turned out that we've had quite a number of students that have wanted to take Chinese. What has been your reaction so far to the number of students and their interest level in your class?
Well, I've certainly been surprised. I didn't think that there was going to be that much interest. Especially in Phoenix, there's been quite a bit of interest in learning Chinese, and I think that's wonderful. The enthusiasm is certainly there, and I think it's a good alternative to Spanish, not to diminish Spanish. Certainly it's very useful here in the Southwest, but I think people are recognizing that it is an important language to learn. We're going to start now. Your handout, the Ni Hao dialogue. I'm going to have a couple other students come up. In fact, let's have you guys practice really quickly with your partner, and then we're going to have some more people come up. And then we're going to start on lesson 1 of the pendulum, okay? All right, so turn to your partner and practice that dialogue, okay?
How would you compare Chinese to other languages in terms of its difficulty to learn?
I would say the American government uses a scale and they categorize different languages, different foreign languages. Chinese is considered a category 4 language, which is basically in that group of languages that are considered the toughest to learn. The other ones are Japanese, Korean, Arabic. So Chinese is among one of the toughest languages for foreigners to learn in general.
And how are your students doing so far in terms of learning the language?
Well, I would say it kind of varies. It depends on the student. There are some students who are doing very well. Others are, working at it, of course. But there are definitely some students I think I could see them taking on Chinese in college, perhaps using it professionally in the future.
And so when you're not here at ASU Prep Phoenix or driving the many miles between the Poly campus and here, what do you like to do in your free time?
I like hiking. I'm a fan of the outdoors. South Mountain, Camelback, those are some of my favorite spots. Certainly getting together with friends and whatnot, but hiking's the big one.
Good. Well, I know whenever I bring visitors to ASU Prep and we tell them that we offer Chinese here, it's always something that really impresses people, and it's been great to see the interest level in our students. I think it's because we have such an excellent person teaching Chinese, so we're so happy to have you here, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.